This may not be immediate. It's not going to be they contacted them today and they see the change today. The county agency has 10 days for that processing. How do I request additional hours if my work or school schedule has changed? So I know I've talked a bit about this, but this is just basically the step-by-step for a family to request that. So they can do it through the self-service portal, and I've talked through that process in the last slide. But we have included here with the slide the link to that, but also there is a video available on how to report a change that a family can watch. If they don't have that account, they should contact their county agency. And we have also included a link to help them find the appropriate contact information. All right, the next question we received was the Family's Early Care and Education Program would like to be able to obtain updates. So what do they do to allow this to happen? And so the family, the caretaker, would need to complete that release of information form, and that's the DCY 1115. I think I got all the right ones in that number. And this form gives permission for the County Department of Job and Family Services to release the information we talked about. And so that really is going to have to be on file. And I just want to say out loud that this does not give the program the right to call the county on the caretaker's behalf to request changes. The family still has to do that, and they have to update their own case. But what this does for the program is allows you as a program to get the listed information that we have on this slide. Next slide. All right, so that is all of the publicly funded child care updates that I wanted to share with you all for November. And I really wanted to move into the early childhood education grant update and provide you some additional updates that have happened. Like I said, we have had a lot moving in the last several weeks, and we wanted to share this exciting piece as well. Next slide. So we are, oh, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, sorry. Cindy, I was just going to say, we had a couple questions, if I could go ahead and say those out loud and just kind of give some answers now based on the PFCC slides. Sure. So one question was just how much travel is allowed with that level of service. And per policy, it's not to exceed 4 hours for the travel time. So that does go into that calculation for that qualifying activity for the level of service hours for a family. And then there was another question for providers and Kinder Connect. You can see the max hours based on that category.
Hello.
In the child details.
No, I'm an owner.
Under the schedule hours box. So if you click on that child.
Hello, Faith. How are you?
Hyperlinked. And if you clicked on that child,
it'll take you to Did I say it right?
The detail screen where you can see the max hours for whatever category that child's level of service falls into.
So right now we're in a meeting about publicly funded childcare that's changing in Ohio and how they're going to pay out. So this is a public meeting open to anyone. It's from 2 to 3. You can get access. It's not limited to certain people.
A sample of the family letter that went out, and then also some caretaker tips, I think, went out with that all provider communication. We had a separate email that went out to impacted providers, and that email included a list of kids' names. And with that, the kids' names, it was their current authorization and then their future authorization, what we thought would be impacted, so what would change for that child, and then their level of service hours. So those hours are reflective of the level of service, which corresponds with that category. So that's what that number was, and it said that, it explained that in the email. And then counties also received individual communication. So I think there were 86 out of the 88 counties, but they did get a list also of impacted families, and then they also we shared
Jay, are you a teacher?
Communications with those counties, so they did get copied on these communications. So just to kind of recap all the communications that have gone out, all families got a letter, all providers were notified, of the families getting the
Okay.
letter, and then there were individual kind of.
Do you have
details
children that are
provided
in need
for
of
how
childcare
impacted families,
services?
and then also counties that had those impacted families. So just to kind of reiterate the communication efforts around these changes, and then I think for the most part.
Oh, okay, no
That
problem.
was it, unless Alicia, did you see anything else that we needed to ask around the PFCC changes?
But this is a state meeting. It's a public
We'll
meeting
do
that
the
anyone
additional
can
questions
listen
that we
to.
received, and we'll
Their
go
faces
out
are being
as
showed, but I
well
didn't want to show their
some additional
faces
Q&A
because I don't have
and
permission to
try to make
record
that
their
available
faces,
to
so.
people. There's been a lot of questions about why did we share the number, the level of service, and just to reiterate, we thought the providers asked for that in these meetings and in individual meetings that we've had. So we were trying to be responsive by giving both the category of authorization that they're currently in, that they're moving towards, and the hours that were approved that informed that level of that authorization category. So if that was confusing to people, we apologize. We're happy to answer questions. I know our help desk has been getting a number of calls from providers, and we can certainly walk through that list if that's confusing to people, but that's ultimately why we provided that information. So we'll try to, like I mentioned, take these questions and turn it into some additional tools for the provider community with some of the scenarios that have also been provided. But we do have a couple of a number of other topics to get through that we want to share with you as well today. Thank you.
All right, so let's dive into early childhood education grant and some of the updates to that. We're really excited to share with you that we're expanding access to early childhood education in Ohio. So we want to empower families with more choice, more flexibility. We heard from
So that's a picture of our governor right now, Governor DeWine, with children.
Implementation, the ability for families with a preschool-age child to access both ECE and PFCC or CCVP. So what does that mean? Well, eligible families, families that are eligible for ECE and PFCC or CCVP can now access high-quality preschool programs and additional childcare. Both. This is going to ensure that coordinated support for families' early learning and education needs. We really wanted to streamline eligibility. We wanted to remove barriers and making it easier for families to get what they need, to get the care and the education they need for their children. We've also wanted flexible program options to support working parents, so students and caregivers across all hours of the day and week. We really wanted to make sure that we added this flexibility with this expansion. So let me talk to you a little more about what that means. We issued a procedure letter recently, procedure letter 39. And what you see here is really the basic changes. So previously, families in 44 non-exemption, non-access counties, if they were eligible for PFCC, they were not eligible for ECE, for Early Childhood Education Grant. Families in the other 44 counties, they could utilize both PFCC and ECE, but they had to choose a bronze or unrated PFCC provider. Well, now families are eligible for both in all 88 counties. Families can now have high-quality services through PFCC, CCVP, and ECE. We also wanted to take a moment and just talk about what's not changing. So, children cannot be served in PFCC or CCVP and ECE at the same program site. So those authorizations have to continue to be at different programs, but families can be authorized for services at the two different approved programs. So what does that mean? It means a family can choose a preschool provider for ECE while accessing a provider for their childcare needs with PFCC or CCVP. If they want to utilize their PFCC or CCVP program for their preschool services, that's their choice too. They can absolutely do that. So they can have all their services at the one provider, or they can make the choice to have an additional preschool service at a different provider or at a different program. Next slide, please. So let's talk about what benefits this has for not just our families and their children, but the programs who are grantees as well. This enhances family choice and creates that additional flexible access to ECE, PFCC, or CCVP. We're also working to improve the application process time with streamlined procedures. And this strengthens alignment across ECE, PFCC, and CCVP for that consistent statewide implementation. We really want to promote that unified approach. And this, we hope, will expand access to serve more eligible families statewide while streamlining everything for everyone. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about copayments. We've received a lot of questions with regards to copayments or tuition. It's what's required. Each ECE grantee must establish a sliding fee scale. Now, your sliding fee scale can be 0, but you must have a sliding fee scale. And can grantees collect ECE copayments? Yes, you absolutely can. Those payments may be assessed for families at or above 101% of the FPL. And when you're using a sliding fee scale, we recommend that you not exceed 9% of the family's income. So let's talk about what this means for families. What do they need to do with these changes? So for those, we're going to talk about different family situations in a moment. I want to talk to you about families who are currently enrolled in PFCC or CCVP, families that are enrolled in ECE only right now, and new families who are applying for early care and education services. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 different types of scenarios and give you information on what families can do next. So let's talk about the current PFCC or CCVP families. These are families who do not currently have eligibility for ECE, but they're interested in an ECE grant program. Those families can contact their County Department of Job and Family Services caseworker to find out if their child meets that eligibility criteria. They do not need to submit a new application or a new income verification information. Their eligibility can be based on the most recent determination that's already on file. And the counties will process this request as a case change and not a new application. So again, we're trying to streamline things for families. So let's talk about our current ECE families. So families that are currently receiving ECE and are interested in PFCC or CCVP program, and that is an or, PFCC or CCVP, they can contact their County Department of Job and Family Services just like the other scenario. But they may need to submit an application for early care and education services if they have not already submitted one, and there are some needed verifications that go along with that. Now, if they're interested, if families interested in ECE for any siblings who are now preschool age, they can also contact their county agency and talk to their caseworker to find out if the siblings are eligible for ECE. They also may need to submit a new application if one is not currently on file for that child, and do any needed verifications, such as income, if required. So that brings me to new families who are submitting applications. What do they need to do? Well, if they've not applied for services previously or don't have an active ECE and early care and education service in Ohio benefits, so it's an active case, they will need to complete a new application. They're going to have to submit all the required verifications, and eligibility for all programs will be explored. So let's talk about some of the county processing updates, because as I said, we were looking at this as holistically as possible. We wanted to streamline things for families, for programs, as well as for our county partners. So an upcoming release will be added. We'll add ECE eligibility to all active PFCC and CCVP cases with children who meet the eligibility requirements. Notice of action, so notices that are generated by the system will be issued through OB to families with their new eligibility for their preschool age children. Current PFCC or CCVP authorizations will not be negatively impacted by this. So what does that mean? That new eligibility will not negatively impact or take away their other eligibility. But I just want to say that authorizations will not be created through this process. Families need to contact their county agency and specify what program they would like to access those services through in order for that to happen. So it's really important that if a family wants to access services at an ECE provider and they receive this notice, that they go ahead and contact their county agency to ask for that to be authorized. All right, so I also wanted to point out that this procedure letter does not impact categorical eligibility for the early childhood education grant. So children who meet that categorical eligibility requirement continue to be eligible for ECE regardless of income or qualifying activities. So that's going to be your children with an IEP.
All right, so if you're in here, this is a meeting with Ohio Department of Children and Youth, and they're talking about the ECE grant and eligibility, but the meeting will be over soon because it's 3 o'clock. And the meeting was scheduled from 2 to 3.
So those are our EI exiters. Also, those children who are experiencing, who are in foster care or kinship care. And of course, homeless. Next slide, please. Cool. I guess that was the end of all my slides. I just wanted to keep on rolling. So I'm going to hand this over to Sophie to talk to you a little bit about Step Up to Quality.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophie Hubble. I'm the Bureau Chief of Early Childhood Practice Advancement. We have a really exciting update today around curriculum. We are going to be able to provide an additional copy of creative curriculum for those centers and schools that have already ordered curriculum and would like an additional
So we
copy.
currently use creative curriculum at our center, and I absolutely love it. It's very user-friendly.
Link which we'll put in the chat for you, or in the Q&A.
So we'll be getting
you,
another curriculum
so
today.
you can go on.
This was great news.
Directly and order an additional copy. The original order form for first-time programs requesting creative curriculum is still live. So if you're a program that has recently decided you'd like to move to creative curriculum, we're still accepting those orders as well. And we will be filling those orders in the order received while the funding is available. Next slide. We have the main link on the Teaching Strategies website. The State of Ohio landing page still has the information about how to submit your order. And on that, at the bottom, on that blue bar, you can see if you've already received materials, you click there and it will take you to this page on the right-hand side, the Welcome Ohio Educators. That's where there is another button where you can submit your request there. So a couple different ways to access those forms. And again, I'll go ahead and put those in the Q&A as soon as I finish talking so that you have those links directly with you for you today. And then on the next slide, just a reminder that we still have the Bright Wheel experience curriculum available for our family child care providers. We're still accepting orders for those curriculum and assessments through the experience curriculum through Bright Wheel. So that is open as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Janine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janine Kale, and I am the Bureau Chief of Professional Development. And I just had a couple of updates related to training and professional development for you this afternoon. The first one is that DCY has created a new child abuse and neglect recognition and mandated reporter training. The training will replace the current training that's available through the Ohio Professional Registry beginning November 1st of 2025. You can access the training either by searching for the title or the ST number. The current training will no longer be available after October 31st of 2025. The training meets the DCY training requirement for mandated reporters for the ECE program types listed on this slide. It is good for 2 years and will need to be renewed after that. Next slide, please. And finally, we wanted to share with you an opportunity for a training coming up with a COSI partnership. It will be held on November 3rd. You can register through the Ohio Professional Registry using the ST number on this slide. It is good for 3 hours of Ohio approved credit. We do have additional dates coming up also in November in Gallia County and in Dayton.
Janine, I think I'm taking it over from here.
Yep.
So we appreciate, again, all of the feedback. We were just in a meeting a couple of weeks ago and people just urged us again to make sure that if possible to record all of these sessions and to post them on our website. So we're happy to report that from June until our last meeting in September, we do have all of the recordings posted. We also have all of the historical archived meetings prior to that. So you will be able to access a recording along with the slide deck for all of these meetings. We will make sure that this is posted as quickly as possible, especially the slides. We know the questions and answers seem to be helpful to a lot of people, so we'll make sure that we get them posted just as quickly as we can. So we wanted to share that information. We also just wanted to make mention, we know we have a announcement on in OCLQS on our website, but regarding funding specifically for the publicly funded childcare program, right now we are still paying attention obviously to all the things that are happening or not happening in Washington right now around the shutdown, and are comfortable that we are able to utilize existing resources that we have to fund the childcare program. If any of that changes or anything needs to be communicated, we understand. We've been getting information from providers around, as much notification if anything were to change or what that time frame would be. We will communicate as quickly as we can if anything changes or as this shutdown continues into the upcoming months. But we just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that, and also let everyone know that of course our colleagues in the Head Start community are making decisions every day about how best to serve families without some of the assurances of funding. So in the event that you partner or you have those organizations in your communities, please just, we know that there are going to be families potentially looking for some short-term, hopefully, arrangements while the Head Start community awaits decisions about their funding. So just wanted to share that information as well. And if there are other topics that people are interested in, I do want to say, we know that this was heavy on publicly funded childcare. We anticipated it. We received a lot of comments in there that people who don't take publicly funded childcare would have liked to have known that the agenda covered that much. We will try. We do put the agenda topics out, but we'll try our best to estimate how much of the agenda we think is going to be focused on any one of these topics, but also encourage people to just zip on through that recording if you find that these topics don't directly impact your program. Now that the recordings are available, you can make the choice to also utilize that as a mechanism as well. So thank you all very much for your patience, your time, your ongoing feedback to us. It helps shape our communication, our policies moving forward in the future. We appreciate your partnership and continue to encourage to use our help desk or to reach out if we can be of assistance. Thank you.